Hello, how are you guys? It's good to see you. You can see I'm back in my room just to get some videos for some notes for you guys this week. Um, just want to give you guys a heads up that my plan is Monday and Tuesday, we're going to have new information. Who knows how that'll be? Usually it'll be related to one another. So, like this week, we're going to do the notes. Then you're going to do an assignment, where you're practicing what we learned in these notes and videos. And then Wednesday, you're going to have to check in with me. Either you're going to have to meet me in a Google Hangout, which I will let you know what the times are for that, probably one in the early afternoon and then one in the evening. And then you will need to check in with me, or you could, so Google Hangout, that's just if you want a live meet with me, show me what's going on your paper, ask me questions, get feedback, just maybe even listen in. You could just check in and just say, hey, Mrs. Spencer, everything's going great, or whatever, but you do have to check in. Or another option would be to send me an email doing those same things, just checking in. Just know that if I email you back, I'm probably going to email you back. I need a response back. We need to be communicating. That's what I want on Wednesday. The other option will be a short Google form kind of survey that'll just be a check-in on how things are going. So you will have, I think, three options. One is the Google Hangout. Come see me on a webcam. We'll visit, whatever. Two, and even there, I can work problems out on the paper and show you guys. Like, that can be more a teaching interaction. Two will be emailing. It's harder to do that, although if you screenshot your work, we can email questions. Or three, you're going to check in on a Google form answering probably around 5-ish questions or so. You may have to, give a sentence response or something. But anyways, so let me get right to it. Let's get into the definitions of the voting methods that you should have already looked up in your book. I have them up here, but let's just look at them, and I want to talk through it really quickly. So you've got your majority winner. So let me go back a little bit. We're just checking in here. Voting, I figured let's move into voting. Most of you are going to be voting age. And hey, in November, it's a big deal. Get out, vote for your president. That's just me saying, hey, let's be part of what's going on. I don't care how you're voting. I just care that you are getting involved and voting with a conscience. Anyways, so we're going to be talking about voting methods. It's kind of a little bit different. And then the second half of chapter 15 is about how we apportion things, and it's really interesting. It gets into the history of our country, where we began, how we got to this electoral college, how we decide, how many electoral votes do we get here in Indiana. So it's kind of cool. We'll get into all that. That's a fun thing, I think, especially if you're really into the history of the United States. Now, so first we're just going to be talking about some voting methods. You need to get good at these. Okay, so make sure you're checking in. The first one is the majority winner. Now, this one sometimes isn't considered like a voting method, but sometimes you need a majority winner. So for there to be a majority winner, what has to happen is, number one, you're just taking everybody's first pick, okay? Their number one pick overall. And for there to be a majority winner, you need over 50%, not 50%, that's not enough. You need over 50% of the people to vote for the same thing, one candidate or one item. All right, so that's a majority winner. Plurality is a little bit different. It's related, okay? Again, still, you're just asking people to give you their number one pick, just one pick, okay? This is super convenient. Plurality, we use it all the time. So you just ask people to just give you one vote. We do this like at homecoming. Here's the nominees for prince or king or queen or princess, whatever. Okay, here's the nominees. You pick one, okay? Your number one pick. All right, that's plurality. All right. And then we pick the one with the most votes gets the win to win. Okay. That's plurality. They do not have to have a majority winner. So the difference between majority and plurality is they're very similar, But in majority, you have to have over 50% of the votes go to the same person or same item. In plurality, just whoever gets the most votes wins. Done. Okay, if there's a tie, I don't know how you figure it out. Flip a coin, whatever. I don't know. Depends on how you decide that. All right. So maybe sometimes you might take everybody else out and do a revote or something like that. All right. So that's plurality. The thing about plurality that's great is it's super easy to get votes, and you can figure out who the winner is very, very quickly. Okay, so plurality gets used probably more than the others, okay, because it's so easy, and it does tell you who everybody the number one pick. Okay, now board account, the cool thing about board account is it takes people's preferences in. Now, that might not matter when we're talking about like homecoming king and queen. Okay, you might not care about how you prefer everyone, you just want the number one vote from everybody. But, depending on the circumstance, you might want a preference. So the way board account is, everybody has to rank all the items. So maybe, what if we were going to have a party for our class? If we could, I know we can't, but if we could, let's say we were going to have a party and we were going to have some food there, and maybe I was going to choose either some Italian food or Mexican food or Chinese food or American food. But, I want everybody's, not just your number one choice. I want your preferences, so that, hey, if you really, really dislike something, that's taken into account to this. So everybody ranks those four things. And then if you tell me that Italian's your number one pick, then that would get 4 points because there's four options. Okay. So the top point getter is how many points or how many total options you have. Then let's say you say American's your second pick, so then that would get 3 points. And then let's say you tell me that you would want Chinese is your third, that's 2 points, and Mexican is last. Maybe that hurts your stomach, so that would only get 1 point. All right. And everybody's vote, I would go through and I would tally up the points, and whichever one got the most points would end up the winner. So it might not be the one that everybody likes the most, but it would take people's preferences into account. It would take into account that Mexican hurts your stomach, and so maybe that wouldn't end up with it. So maybe we'd end up, somewhere in the middle. All right, plurality with elimination is probably the most difficult one. It basically says, okay, you do plurality. You look at everybody's first vote, number one, and then you see if there's a majority winner. If there is a majority winner, great, that's the winner. If there's not a majority winner, then you look who got the least number of first place votes. You cross that person off, like basically redo the vote. Okay, but we can't revote. So you'll see we have tables. We just cross it off as if there were a revote. Everybody votes again. And then you look at the first place votes. If that has over 50%, great, there's a winner. If not, whatever one got the least number of first place votes goes away again. Redo the vote, relook at the vote until you get a majority winner. So again, that one's the trickiest one, I would say, very, very difficult. Thing is, people don't use this one very often unless you absolutely have to have a majority winner. Then you would use it because it's very tricky and it could require multiple votes, especially if you have a lot of things to vote for. And then the last one is pairwise comparison. So you just take two of the items, you compare them, you see which one wins based on the first place votes, which one's like ahead based on preferences. So you compare two. And then that one, if it wins, it gets a point. Whichever one of those two wins, maybe this one wins, it gets 1 point. If they tie, they both get a half a point. Okay, and then you count it up and you tally it up until the end. Again, that one doesn't get used as much because it's difficult, a lot of work, but sometimes we use it to see if the winner was fair. So we might go back and see, like, did people really prefer this over everything else? Sorry about that. I know this is not a good time for coughing. All right, so these are all the definitions. Now the next one is going to be, I'm going to go through all of example 1. Then the last video will be me going through all of example 2, just walking you through it. How does it work? Hopefully that will help.